Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Dean.
Okay, Ryan. So let's do this, man. Uh, Tell folks who you are and tell folks what a fractional CMO is.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. So I'm Ryan Kovach. I am the CEO of Alt CMO, and we are a network of fractional CMOs for the AEC industry, which is architecture, engineering, and construction. Um, to me, what a fractional CMO is a couple of things. One is somebody that can step in interimly while maybe a potential leader is out, and they need, for an extended period of time, and they need somebody to step in to that role and facilitate that role. In a lot of my cases, the fractional CMO it
Mhm.
becomes an alternative to a full time hire of a chief marketing officer, and therefore it's not interim. It's not You're not going into it expecting to leave. You're going into expecting to forever be within that role as a marketing leader. And so probably 90% of my clients are looking at it from that perspective. It's a way to not bear the burden of the
Right.
cost for a chief marketing officer, but have a chief marketing officer on staff.
All right. So here's our setup for this podcast, right? Um, there's a hypothetical, brand new 1 year engagement, new client. Today's day one. We're going to talk about the first 90 days, and
Mhm.
then I'm going to switch to Pam. So, first 90 days, what sort of problems do you go looking for? What questions are you asking? Right? How are you getting the lay of the land in the first 90 days of a brand new client on a brand new engagement?
Yeah, the first thing I want to do is look at the org chart because I want to go and meet with obviously the leadership team. But
Mm-hmm.
then beyond that, I want to meet with directors in sales, biz dev, SDRs, anybody in a growth function. I also want to spend time one on one with any of the junior level marketers or the internal marketing team. If they have a outsourced marketing agency, that they're doing their business with. I want to schedule time with those guys. Next, I'm going to want to find out historically what they've done from a marketing standpoint. I want to look at what's been successful or what they deem as successful versus, maybe less successful endeavors, and gather all of that information. Next, I want to go and do complete audits from top to bottom. I want to audit and just digital footprint. I want to audit brand amplification. I also want to look at anything that third party vendors are doing from a marketing or a marketing tool standpoint,
Right.
and look at that to see if number one, if they're being quote unquote honest and not just supplying vanity metrics. And number two, I want to get an idea of what they think the marketing objectives are. So really, for me, lots of time understanding where the financials are at, what their cost to acquire is, what's their average retention rate. I mean, I want to know as much as I can historically about the company and who's running what.
All right.
That's what I'm
No,
going
that's
to
a
do
good answer.
first 90 days.
Right.
Nice.
So, hey, Pam.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you. So, Pam, uh,
Mhm.
tell folks a little bit about you and then talk about what you like to see or do in the first 90 days of a brand new engagement.
Excellent. So Pam Didner here. I'm a B2B marketing consultant and fractional CMO, and I specialize in building sales and marketing alignment. By doing
Mhm.
so, working together as a team to drive demand for their companies. And that's what I do. In terms of what I would do,
Yeah.
say today is the day one of my job for the 1 year engagement. There are a couple of things I would do. Obviously, one is to understand the business goal and the current marketing challenges, and understand the marketing challenges by talking to various different people, internal stakeholder, external agency, and then put an interim plan together for the management team to approve and also for the team to implement. So that's one is try to meet with as many people as possible, put a plan together. The second thing to do is identify some of the low hanging fruit, do what I can to capture quick wins.
Okay. So let's imagine, Pam, that I am the
Mhm.
CEO of your client company. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
How does a CEO like me waste the money that they put aside to pay a fractional CMO? Like, what do CEOs do that they should stop doing because it's, reducing the effectiveness, or what should they start doing that they're not doing now to get maximum value out of that CMO they're going to have for the next 12 months or however long?
Well, great question. So if you are client CEO, and how do you maximize the value with the fractional CEO? And let's assume that you have a 1 year engagement. There are many things you can do to actually enhance that. Obviously, as a CEO working with the fractional CMO, one thing is don't treat the fractional CMO as a part-time employee. Treat them as if they were your full-time executive. Bring him or
Right.
her into your executive meetings, and you should also have a regular one-on-one with them to understand what the team is going, what has been accomplished, what are in the process to get done, and at the same time do what you can to actually help them and remove barriers if you can.
Okay. And Ryan, what do you think? What's the nightmare scenario? I mean, this shouldn't happen because you've done your qualification of your prospecting all the way through till you finally sign, right? But let's say that the CEO gets swapped out just the day before or just shortly before you start. What's the worst kind of scenario that you would have to get around when starting brand new?
Yeah, I think the worst type of scenario that you can run into is a CEO, number one, that doesn't understand marketing.
Hmm.
That's kind of a given, but it happens more often than not. Number two is a CEO that kind of gatekeeps other people within the organization.
Right.
Oftentimes it's, well, I don't really want you talking to Jimmy or Susie. They're super busy. I've got them on projects. I've got them doing things, and I really don't want them being bothered. Having no access to key decision makers, or even, what I would call floor level, junior marketers, SDRs, whatever it may be.
Yep.
Not having access to that is going to be a huge waste of money on that CEO's part if they hire me. Um,
Right.
and again, having a good understanding of marketing in general, I think is a skill that CEOs should acquire, because it can be quite difficult when they don't.
Uh, I would like to add one additional thought on
Yeah.
top of that. Ryan actually covers a lot of the key points. Another thing I think, in addition, that the CEO it's nice to actually have that basic marketing knowledge. It's also up to the fractional CMO to actually educate the CEO, and in terms of what marketing is, especially digital marketing, and also what have been done so far to actually help him or her realize in terms of the fractional CMO's contribution. That's also another way to actually help, say, the new CEO to be ramp up and up to speed.
Oh, no, that's a good point. Man, that's a really good point. Hey, Ryan. So, let me switch again. Okay. So,
Mhm.
I'm the CEO at the client. You're my new fractional CMO, and I say, Ryan, we've got some junior and mid level folks on our marketing team right now.
Mhm.
Can you give me some insight into how those folks are going to be better 3 months from now?
Yeah. So one of the things that I do when I'm working with, what I would call, your junior to mid-level guys
Yeah.
is I like to I like to explain my purposes. I think oftentimes leaders, they're moving quick. They've got, orders, from the top down. They've got things to get done, right? So you can get too much in an executive type mindset where it's just barking transactional items for people. What I want to do is have regular meetings with the internal or external marketing team. I want to explain why we're doing what we're doing so that they get a better understanding of what the thought process is behind that.
Right.
I think too often we don't
Explain
give
that.
them enough credit to understand what our visions and goals are, and
Hmm.
we become a top down, barking orders, so to speak. And that's going to, cause mutiny. It's
Right.
just, they're not going to learn anything.
Yeah.
So really, really explaining the process. If there's, some Marcom tools that need to be used that maybe they're not familiar with, getting down in the dirt with them, helping them to understand those tools, why we're using those tools, how to effectively maximize those tools, and all of that. So my goal is always with my team or the team of my clients is to, if I've got knowledge to share, I'm going to share it because we're all going to rise with the tide, right?
All right. And Pam, what do you think? If I ask you as the CEO, like, how's this team going to be better? How are these people going to be improved in the next 90 days? Like, what's accomplishable in the first 90 days?
So what Ryan actually covered a lot of the ground. It was wonderful. But one thing that, from my perspective, is a lot of the team members who are junior. That means they are probably feel sure on the soft skills. When I'm talking about soft skills, is the communication skill, the presentation skill, the leadership skills. And what I will see actually help the junior members to actually grow is looking to their strengths and also weaknesses. What are the area that they are very, very good at, and what are some of the area they need to improve on, and then help them from the perspective of coaching and the career development.
Um, okay, so you both sort of mentioned junior folks. I want to try a different scenario here. Okay,
Sure.
so someone you've known a long time, Pam, calls you up and says,
Yeah.
"Pam, my kid graduated and just started their first job and was junior marketer at a company that, and my kid says that I have a fractional CMO starting on Monday." Like, I Googled it, and so did my kid because we didn't know what a fractional CMO was. And now that we know, do you have any advice from someone just starting out in their marketing career, where for the next 12 months there's going to be at least partial, maybe, access or exposure to a really senior marketing person? Like, what should they do?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So if you are junior staff and then there is a fractional CMO that being injected as a part of the organization, how do you take advantage of that? If I were a junior staff, I would set up a one-on-one with that fractional CMO and proactively introduce myself and
Hmm.
let them know that my background, which is very limited, up to date, and also tell him or her where I want to be in the future if I know that vision. If I don't, I would like to actually have a chat with the fractional CMO just to understand from him or his or her ex, um, perspective what they can do to actually help. And I will be very specific in terms of what I'm looking for. And
Right.
and that the fractional CMO know what I'm looking for and see if there's a way to actually build that relationship in terms of a mentor and mentee relationship for the next 12 months. In addition
Mhm.
to do my jobs, of course.
Right. Well, yeah. And Ryan, how about you? Like, what advice would you give to the 25-year-old Ryan just starting out in marketing, and a CMO's sort of like come into the picture?
Yeah, as a fractional CMO, if a junior level person coming into the organization wants to gain more access to me,
Hmm.
and advance in their career, the first thing I would tell them is, I want you to be as inquisitive as possible.
Hmm.
I want you to be absolutely as creative as possible, even with all the fear that can come with, what if I don't have it right? We don't care. Bring that in, that curiosity, bring that creativity. Be 1000% willing to completely screw up, but I'd rather you screw up with proactive creativity and ideas and curiosity than to sit back and be more of a McDonald's drive-through where you're just taking orders and being
Right.
transactional. I'd rather see you mess up, blunder, and all of that, and learn from that mess up and blunder, than than to see you afraid and not taking risks and not being creative. Because in my opinion, creativity takes a little bit of a misfit mindset, and it takes a little bit of pushing the boundaries in some way. And if you're not willing to push the boundaries and go head to head with CEOs and head to head with sales guys and everything else, then you're probably going to have a very lackluster career in marketing. So be curious, be willing to absolutely screw up, push the envelope, be creative, and bring the fire.
All right. Okay, so this has been great. I don't want to leave until I give you guys a chance to ask each other a question. You can ask anything you want. So we'll start with you, Ryan, since we just did the other one. So, like, Ryan, what would you ask Pam or another fractional CMO that you had just met?
Pam, I'd want to know from you what you, from a fractional CMO, what you think the average engagement time looks like versus, let's say, a digital marketing agency where everything is outsourced. Like, what would you consider a good tenure for a fractional CMO time wise?
Ryan, that's actually a great question. And if you want a straight answer, I think it's 6 to 12 months. However, it really depends on the stage or the progress that the marketing team of that company has come so far. If the company is very, very young, there's no process, there's actually no people doing the job, they are really just trying to build it. That's going to take a whole lot longer, right? To build that process, keep things going. However, if the team already being established, there are certain process limited, and there is still a long way to go, but everybody is trying very hard and everybody is very excited about it, maybe 3 to 6 months. So personally, I think to actually have a good result with a fractional CMO, Ryan, you can tell me I'm totally off on this. It's usually about 6 to 12 months, sometimes even longer. And that also depends on the size of the company. So
Good. Great.
And Pam, what's your question for Ryan?
So Ryan, obviously you have witnessed and experienced many fractional CMO opportunities. Can you share with us what it was the best experience you ever had, and why was it?
Yeah, the best experience I've had thus far in my career is, I started working with a general contractor that at the time was probably $5 million in annual revenue total. Building backyard barns and barndominiums and things like that, and had a great team, had smart guys, allowed me full unfettered access to truly lead marketing. Right, never got in the way ever. Slowly identifying bigger opportunities like churches and schools to be built. Achieved that goal year one. Year two, identifying bigger opportunities, wanted to get into building multi-use, facilities, and achieve that goal. Year 5 and 6, and this is, how long I actually stayed as a fractional CMO with them, because it just worked. I was fortunate enough to get in on the front end. Fast forward, now one of the largest general contracting firms in their entire state. They're doing about $1 billion in revenue, total revenue. They're involved in some of the biggest, most prestigious projects in their city, and it's just been a fun ride. And having that complete and total trust to truly just whatever you need, Ryan, let us know. You've geared us in the right direction. And here's kind of an unlimited checkbook, so to speak, to do what you need to do to continue to make us successful. If I can get into those types of scenarios, I'm game all day long.
Yeah, people and trust, and unlimited checkbook.
And unlimited checkbooks. Gotta love that too.
Great answer. Thank you so much, Ryan.
You as well, Pam. Thank you.
All right, guys. So thanks very much for this. It's time to wind it up. Pam, who should be contacting you these days, and how should they get to you?
www.pamdidner.com is actually a default way to get in touch with me. And I'm also pretty active on social media channels from YouTube, LinkedIn, down to TikTok. So just Google Pam Didner and you will be able to find me.
All right. And Ryan, how about you? Who should contact you these days, and how?
The type of person that should contact me is anybody in the architectural, engineering, and construction space or home trades. Typically, funded startups, all the way up to the multi-billion dollar. We have the capabilities of handling those accounts internally. Companies that have very progressive mindsets when it comes to growth. They want to grow, and they've got the vision, to make it happen. So you can find me at altcmo.net, and my team and I would love to hear what your needs are.
So Dean, sorry to inject. I didn't answer your first question. Who should contact me? And Ryan did such a great job.
I just thought you didn't want any new business, and so I wasn't going to push on it.
I did not even hear that clearly. My apologies. And so if you are a well-established startup or a mid-sized company, that you are in the process growing to the next stage and you need a fractional CMO to help you, check me out. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So you do want new clients. Good to know. All right. I remember.
I do.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So thanks very much, Ryan. I appreciate this, man. And thank you very much, Pam. Yeah. Well, it's great to see you again. Thanks for watching this. According to the analytics, you're 99.5% likely to watch it on a clip instead of the whole episode. But there are whole episodes on YouTube. But we appreciate you just watching the clip. This has been great. Thanks very much.